What we can actually do is actually track the flight of the US Speaker of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi. It had taken off, let's zoom out a little bit more, it had taken off from Indonesia, and this is the route that the aircraft, it's got the call sign SPA 19, has taken. So it's actually flown for more than 5 hours, and it's now on its way to Taiwan. It's going to be landing in about an hour or so from now. So it would be, normally flights on this route would actually, just cut back to me for a moment if you can. Normally flights on this route would actually fly this way. They would actually fly north from here onwards in the direction of Taiwan that you can actually see. But in this particular case, she's taken this very long route to travel east of the Philippines. Remember, this is the South China Sea over here, and this is the area where, and it's an area obviously where there's dense air traffic, but the point being, this is an area where the Chinese are very heavily deployed over here. This is where she's heading right now, and she is east of Manila at an altitude of about 34,000 feet is what I last saw. She would pass by Hong Kong over there. This is Taiwan over here, and she would be heading to Taipei. So this is where she is right now. She is on an aircraft called the C-40. The C-40 is a variant of the Boeing 737. It's a US Air Force designation of the Boeing 737. It is used for VVIP flights. It's a very long route across Indonesia and then to the east of the Philippines that she's actually taking before she gets to Taiwan over there. So another 1 hour or so, and she should be expected to land over there. SPA 19. This SPA 19 being the call sign. This entire area is where there's this very heavy deployment of China's Navy. This is the entire area where the Spratly Islands are located, the Paracel Islands are located, and an area where there is this heavy maritime presence of the Chinese, who claim that a lot of this territory, even in the waterways, is theirs. So it's disputed, and so the entire thrust of the United States is actually to ensure that this region is free from any any Chinese presence which prevents international trade and commerce and the free right of movement in international waterways from taking place. That's what the US and others, including India, feel China is actually trying to do. So she's actually going to be flying over some of these waterways which China says is its own, and she's going to be heading here to Taiwan. So it's interesting because just east of Taiwan, and we don't know obviously exactly where, but east of Taiwan there is an American carrier battle group which has been deployed, and it is actually in this area, yeah, that's right, from the island of Hainan, which lies further to the south. I can't really spot it over here, that the Chinese have moved their aircraft carrier, the Shandong, in the direction of Taiwan. And now what has also been happening, let's just zoom up over here for a moment. Let's just zoom, in fact, let's scroll up, in fact, yeah, and zoom into this particular area for a moment. This is the area I was actually talking about. This is where she's heading now. This is where her aircraft is, but this is the Taiwan Strait, and think of them being a line pretty much in the middle of this area. That is the ADIZ, or the Air Defense Identification Zone of Taiwan. So that lies squarely in the middle of the Taiwan Strait, and the point being that over the last several hours there have been any number of aircraft which have breached of China, military aircraft that have breached or attempted to breach that ADIZ. That's the line that lies in the middle of the Taiwan Strait, again to test the defenses of Taiwan. And they have fairly robust defenses, surface-to-air missile systems. They've got their own frigates deployed over there as well. So this is the area that the Chinese are trying to come eastwards, and the Taiwanese are trying to prevent them from doing that. But there's not, beyond a point, they don't get into a situation where they sort of engage each other. That would be war. So the Chinese are deployed in this area. In fact, even further to the south of Taiwan, they were also deployed in military exercises. They've got their warships over here as well. Further to the north, of course, is Japan. Japan, the closest ally of the United States. This is the area where the Chinese have actually also had a presence. One of the areas which they tried to penetrate with their aircraft was by flying this route, exactly the way that I've been pointing that I pointed out. That was earlier on today. Then there were further efforts across the strait in this direction. This is Nancy Pelosi's aircraft, SPA 19. That's the call sign over here, and she is headed over here to Taiwan. Last I checked, and I'm not getting it over here, 34,000 feet was the altitude of the aircraft. But again, just zoom out so that I can just explain to our viewers the significance of this flight, because instead of flying from here to here, and off the top of my head, I don't know the flight distance from Kuala Lumpur to Taiwan, she's flown all the way east, across Indonesia, south of the South China Sea, east of the Philippines. She's already flown for 5.5 hours. Now remember, range of this aircraft is also important. It's a 737. It doesn't carry as many passengers, obviously, so it's much lighter. That means it can fly longer. But I can tell you that for an aircraft of this class to actually fly 6, 7 hours, it would be at the edge of its endurance or of its range, unless she actually comes across to Manila to refuel, which is, I don't know, a possibility before she actually proceeds in the direction of Taiwan, which, I mean, it's unlikely because we've not heard of any such effort. And look, 7:30 she's supposed to land, so I don't think there's any possibility of any refueling over here. This is Manila over here. In fact, she's already passed by Manila. I think this is her aircraft. Now, flight radar goes on and off every now and again, so we'll come back to that in a moment, but this is where she's heading. Whoops, there's SPA 19 for you. It suddenly emerged over here. Let's zoom out and try and bring you a few more details. So stay over there for a moment. I think, yeah, this is Manila over here, and I think so. The aircraft flying directly east of Manila at the moment. No signs at this juncture of it trying to move in over here for a landing. She's going to be proceeding directly north, and in another hour. So what does this all mean? This means an incredibly large face-off between the United States and America. Nancy Pelosi, remember, was in Tiananmen Square way back in 1988. She had placards up, against China and their leadership then. And so there is no love lost between Nancy Pelosi and the Chinese. Also, it's been 25 years since an American Speaker of the House of Representatives has been to Taiwan. Now, the Speaker of the House of the US Representatives is number 3 in their system, the President, the Vice President, and then her. And even though she's not affiliated directly politically with Biden or Kamala Harris, the fact that she's going there and the fact that she has the support of the United States government at all levels, militarily, this is a USF Force plane that she's flying, it's a very important sort of message that they're trying to send. And now what exactly is China trying to say? Again, if we just, as we look at this once again, this is SPA 19, her aircraft, this is Taiwan. China over here says that Taiwan belongs to China, and therefore it tells America that in the past, America has perhaps more strongly agreed with China and said, yes, Taiwan is part of China and there is only one China, the one China philosophy. But in as much as that may be the case, China is extremely sensitive to the visit of any leader to Taiwan. And they believe that this visit of Nancy Pelosi sort of takes away from their central position and their central argument that, look, Taiwan belongs to us, it is a part of China. And therefore, it dilutes the significance of the importance of the one China policy. America says that there is no one who's going to stop us from visiting Taiwan. And the Taiwanese government has welcomed Nancy Pelosi as well, saying that there's no reason for her not to come. There are other US parliamentarians and Congress leaders who come to Taiwan all the time. So that's the standoff. Beijing has said that don't test us. In fact, in a recent conversation between Mr. Biden, the US president, and President Xi of China, there were clear messages which had been sent by President Xi that, look, don't test us, don't play with fire over here. And now you've got the US Speaker of the House of Representatives winging it all the way to Taiwan. She's passed the relative safety of the Philippines. It's a massive ocean between where she is now and Taiwan. very busy airways ways in this particular region. A lot of aircraft flying across the Pacific or towards Asia in the opposite direction use this route as well. But she is in waters which are deeply contested in light of all the activity over here in the South China Sea, where China continues to actually build up, create artificial islands, and the Spratly Islands and the Paracel Islands. These have been heavily militarized. There are proper runways as well. And even though there is no deployment of aircraft, at least none that we are aware of, it would have been reported by the Americans. Otherwise, these aren't friendly waters by any means. And this is the toughest stretch that she is flying on. She had avoided getting into this contested area by flying this entire route across Indonesia, then east to the Philippines, but now she is in open waters. Now, will she have cover? And if so, who exactly is giving her that? Possibly a US carrier battle group, the USS Ronald Reagan, and 3 other warships with the Reagan. The Reagan has as many as about 100 odd aircraft on board, including fighter jets. Not sure if that support is coming in, but they're certainly keeping an eye. We'll take a short break, about 45 minutes or so before Nancy Pelosi lands in Taipei. That's to the right of your screens.